If you're beginning to sense the creep of overwhelm or stressful homeschool days, if it doesn't seem like no matter what you do or how much you do, it feels like it's never enough, then stick around because I'm going to share 3 key things that will not only bring you closer to a feeling of balance, but it'll also create margins in your day.
This is rivalry. We have Mom first impressions only, she says. We have Rachel's if I don't win, someone's gonna die before we leave. And Zachary, I just wanna win. It's not fair. The game goes on.
Overwhelm is something we all face as homeschool moms, but there's something about this season that fairly commonly you hear homeschool parents say that they're kind of losing the excitement around homeschooling. The September days, or whenever they began, whether it's July, August, or September, those were the days that everybody was excited about this new routine and the new things that they were going to do. But then somewhere around October, before the holidays, but solidly a couple months into your homeschool year, you begin to recognize that things are not quite being felt the same way that you anticipated they would be. You're not quite experiencing this homeschool thing the way you thought you would. That's typical at the season, but it doesn't have to be that way. There are strategies that you can use to find that feeling of balance and bring more joy back to your days. So secret number 1 is to rethink expectations. A common conversation amongst homeschool moms is to say something like, lower your expectations. No, lower them. Okay, lower them again. Okay, lower them again. And I think it's funny, and I certainly am confident I've said that, but it also doesn't really give you a playbook. Like, what are you supposed to do with that? Are you supposed to just sit on the sofa with the kids and hope that one day they grow up and accomplish all the wonderful things they should in their lives, even though you just sat on the sofa? What does it mean? I think the first thing that we need to do is actually look objectively at our expectations. Just like we want to look objectively at our budget every month and say, are we spending our income the way we want to be spending our income? Same thing with our time. Do we want to spend our time the way we're spending our time? Because we want to do the things that matter. We want to do less only because we want to do the things that matter, not because we want to just do less. We could just be sitting on the sofa. We want to do the things that matter. So what are the things that matter? We need to actually assess what really matters. How do you assess what really matters? Well, you can approach that from a variety of different ways, but a simple action plan might be to do a time audit, to actually look at all the activities that you include every single day and ask yourself, does this really matter? Do I want to include it in my week? You can find a time audit in the description down below. You can also join me for the webinar this upcoming Friday at 10 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. You'll access the link if you register below. Another simple action step is to ask yourself what really matters in your relationships. So each of the most important relationships you have, grab your journal and write down their names. What do you want in relationship to them? How do you want to feel connected with them? What do you want that relationship to look like? What's your expectations around engaging in that relationship? What are their expectations of relating to you? When you begin to get clear on how you want to relate to another person, how you want to create an environment of connection in your home, and you can actually write it down, then you'll know what really matters. And the third simple action that you can take in response to assessing or rethinking your expectations is to ask yourself, who is my actual child and how do they really learn? How long does it take them to do various things? And when they do those things, do they really begin to understand or really go deep into that task or activity? So here's how you can rethink your expectations. Complete that simple action plan to assess your time, Assess your relationships and connections, and ask how they really learn and what really matters in their education. If you want to finally beat homeschool overwhelm, secret number 2 is to lean more into child-inspired learning. Do you remember a subject in school that just wasn't your natural penchant? I had a conversation with my son this morning, and he was talking about how chemistry, high school level chemistry, is easy. Easy? No, it wasn't easy for me. I didn't find it easy at all. He finds it easy. If someone had said to me, okay, Teresa, we're going to sit down and we're going to do these chemistry equations and you're going to try and balance the whatever the things are on each side, then we're going to talk about that and we're going to talk about its relevance. And I'm going to get you to do a series of these or a list of these or a page of these or 6 pages of these. And you have to have these memorized, all the processes behind this for the exam. I would be like, oh, do I have to? One of the easiest ways to reduce homeschool overwhelm is to give your kids space to explore what actually matters to them. Now, I'm not saying to throw out structure. Having a plan is important, but allowing more flexibility, following your child's natural curiosity, will make your days easier. They'll be more excited and present and motivated, and you likely won't feel like you're constantly pushing them through subjects they're not interested in. Not to say that there won't be times that you're pursuing activities that you really want them to know about or you want to expose them to or that are just necessary and required, but just consider which ones do you need to make happen and which ones are the ones that you don't, because you are directly influencing their capacity to show up in that moment if you're constantly pushing. So look at that child in front of you and ask, who are they really? What do they like to learn? How can I fuel their natural curiosity? How do I help them feel inspired or motivated because I let them be who they are and they're leading in their learning? Here is a simple action tip that you can incorporate in your homeschool this upcoming week. In your afternoons, book 1, 2, 3, maybe 4 different afternoons where you can have a quiet time after lunch. You're welcome to join me in the arts and crafts room to put together our projects, or you can join me in the family room and we can read together for a quiet time, but we're going to do that for 1 hour each day after lunch and watch what they do. Secret number 3 to finally beating overwhelm. You probably know what I'm about to tell you. It's self-care. There's a reason I wrote a book called Homeschool Mama Self-Care, Nurturing the Nurturer. It's almost 5 years old. Self-care isn't an option. It's a requirement. I can't stress this enough. If you're not seeing yourself as a human being in your homeschool family, if you don't recognize that you have needs, you need to drink a lot of water. You need to wash your face in the morning to feel presentable. You need to brush your teeth to just get all of that off the edge of your teeth. You need to do all the basic things that you're expecting your kids to do. And you're also expecting, just like you expect your kids to play, you're expecting them to pursue learning, to feel alive and connected to the people around them, to spend time doing things they love. You got to do those things too. It's impossible to bring your best self to your homeschool life if you're not treating yourself like a human. And also, if you're not giving yourself a place at your homeschool table too. 3 quick action tips that you can include in this upcoming homeschool week. 1 is that you can include 15 minutes of journaling in the morning, or 5, but the point is to get into a habit of journaling. What will you journal? Just ask yourself this one question. How am I feeling? And if you want to ask a second question, it can be, what really matters? If you write your answers to those 2 questions on repeat, you'll get a whole lot clearer about what really matters and how you're feeling and how you're really experiencing your homeschool days. And when you gather information about you, you can get a whole lot clearer on what your next steps might be. Another action tip might be that you go for a quick walk outside. There's something regulating about the great outdoors. So go for a walk outside with or without the kids every day. And the third thing you can do is incorporate mindful moments every day. For me, they were typically at 11 a.m. every day, still are. Unless I happen to be coaching you, I have an 11 a.m. moment of silence for myself to check in, to see how I'm feeling, what's been going on, what are my thoughts, what's my experience, how did I decide that the things that matter right now matter? What were my thoughts before I had big emotions, if I'm experiencing big emotions? What were the thoughts? Are they true? Is there a different way to think about it? Could you choose? Could I choose a different way to think about it? What might be an alternate way of approaching things right now? Those 3 action tips will transform your homeschool days if you use them on repeat. By rethinking your expectations, leaning into child-inspired learning, and taking time for you, you'll start to feel that experience of balance and a little bit more joy in your homeschool life. You can beat homeschool overwhelm. Homeschooling doesn't have to be overwhelming. So what will you do this week to make just small, powerful shifts in your homeschool experience? Let me know in the comments which of these strategies you're going to start with this week. And if you want more tips like these, don't forget to hit the subscribe button and give this video a thumbs up.